There is a window across from my apartment that has never had a light on inside it. Not dim, not off, not broken. Dark. The specific kind of dark that means the light was never put there at all. I live on the 7th floor of a building in a city I won't name, because I've learned that the specifics don't matter as much as I used to think they did. What matters is this. I've been here for 2 years and 3 months, and for 2 years and 2 months of that time, I never once looked at that window. I only noticed the person standing inside it last week. That's where this story starts. The part I can't explain is where it ends. I should tell you what kind of person I am before I tell you what I saw. I'm not someone who believes in things easily. I'm not someone who jumps at shadows or reads meaning into coincidence. I'm an archivist. I spend my days organizing records, cross-referencing sources, verifying that what people claim happened actually happened. My job is to not believe things until the evidence says otherwise. So, when I tell you what I noticed, I want you to understand. I didn't want to notice it. I looked for every other explanation first. I found several. None of them held. The building across from mine is older than mine. 8 floors, pre-war construction. The kind of building that looks like it was designed to survive something. Heavy stone, narrow windows, the sort of architecture that doesn't apologize for taking up space. Most of the apartments have lights. Some warm, some cold blue. Screens, some the yellow-orange of someone who bought the wrong bulbs and never changed them. Normal building, normal city, normal lives happening at normal hours. Except for 4B. I know it's 4B because I counted, once I started paying attention. 4th floor, 2nd window from the left. I counted in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon, standing at my own window with a coffee I'd forgotten to drink. Just counting. Which should tell you something about where my head was by then. The window is there. The frame is intact. The glass is not broken, not boarded, not frosted. You can see through it, or rather, you can see into it. You just can't see anything on the other side. The first thing I told myself, the apartment is vacant. Simple. Buildings have vacancies. This one just happens to face mine. Vacant. No lights. Mystery solved. Go back to your life. I went back to my life. For about 11 days. And then I came home late on a Wednesday. I remember it was Wednesday because I'd been to a work function I hadn't wanted to attend. And I sat down by the window the way I do sometimes when I can't sleep. I watched the lights go out one by one. It's not voyeurism. It's more like counting. It settles something in my brain, the systematic going dark of a building at the end of a day. So I was watching the lights go out, floor by floor, window by window. And I got to 4B. And someone was standing at it. Standing very still. In the dark, looking out. I think they were looking at me, or I need to be very precise here, because precision is the only thing that helps me think clearly about this. What I saw was a shape, a silhouette, a person-shaped arrangement of shadows in a dark room. It could have been anything. The human brain is extraordinary at finding faces, finding bodies, finding the implication of a person where no person exists. Pareidolia. We see faces in clouds, in wood grain, or in the pattern of ceiling tiles at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. I told myself, pareidolia. I went to bed. The next night, I checked again. The shape was still there. I am, as I said, an archivist. When I don't know what something is, my instinct is to document it. So I started documenting, and every night at 11 p.m. for 2 weeks, whether the shape was visible, whether it wasn't, what the conditions were. It was visible on 9 of the 14 nights. The 5, it wasn't. Rain, mostly. 1 night of fog. On the 8th night, I used my camera. 37 photographs over 40 minutes. Most showed nothing, dark glass, empty window. 15 showed the shape. Yes. And in 3 of those 15, the shape had moved between frames. Not dramatically, but measurably. Whoever was standing in that window had moved. There was one other thing in those photographs. I almost didn't catch it because I wasn't looking for it. In the window reflection, not in the apartment, in the glass itself, there was a faint secondary shape, whilst behind the first one. I told myself it was an artifact, a lens flare, a double exposure from the way I'd held the camera. I filed it under probably nothing, and kept going. I shouldn't have filed it there. I went back through all 14 nights and looked at the exact times I'd recorded the shape as visible. The shape appeared consistently, between 11:08 and 11:14 p.m. Not 11, not midnight, between 11:08 and 11:14. A 6-minute window, every single time. I checked my own routine. I sit at my window every night between approximately 11 p.m. and midnight, which means the shape doesn't appear at 11:08 because that's when it arrives. The shape appears at 11:08 because that's when I'm reliably there to see it. Something in that apartment knows my schedule. An archivist who discovers a potential pattern has one job: attempt to disprove it. I spent the next 3 nights trying to break the pattern. Airs. Night 1, I sat at my window at 10 p.m., stayed until 10:50, went to bed. When I reviewed my notes, I realized I had not looked at 4B once between 10 and 10:50. I don't know why, I just hadn't. Night 2, I sat at 11:30, 1 hour late. The shape was not visible at any point, all night. Night 3, I sat at 11 p.m., standard time, and I deliberately looked away from 4B until 11:20, past the window. I looked at the building at 11:21. The shape was there. Still there. As if it had been waiting for me to look. As if looking away didn't make it go. It just made it wait. I should tell you about Mrs. Okafor. She lives on the floor below me, many 11 years in the building, strong opinions about the elevator maintenance schedule, and she will tell you them if you stand near the mail area for more than 40 seconds. I ran into her in the lobby on a Thursday morning, and I asked her, casually, about the building across the street. I said I'd noticed a window that seemed permanently dark. She looked at me for a moment. 2 seconds, which is longer than it sounds. Oh. And then she said, "Which window?" Not a question. Which window? Like she already knew there was one. I described it. 4th floor, 2nd from left, always dark. She nodded. She said, "Don't look at that one." I said, "Why?" She said, "The woman who lived there asked us all not to, years ago, before she stopped being seen. What?" And then the elevator came, and she got in it, and she did not say anything else. I have not been able to ask her a follow-up question since then. She sees me coming, and she finds somewhere else to be. But I've noticed something else. When I pass her in the hallway now, she doesn't look at my face. She looks just past it, slightly over my shoulder, or the way you'd look at something standing directly behind a person. I've told myself she's just avoiding eye contact. I've told myself that a lot. Property records are public. I spent a Saturday morning. What I found, apartment 4B was occupied by a single tenant for 6 years. The lease was not renewed 3 years ago. That is, the apartment was listed for re-rental once, briefly, then quietly delisted. The previous tenant's name is on the original lease application. I'm not going to say it. Saying it feels like the wrong thing to do. What I will tell you is that her name matches an unresolved missing persons report from 3 years and 2 months ago. Filed by a neighbor. I checked the neighbor's name. It was a Mrs. Okafor. That night I sat at my window at exactly 11:08. I looked at 4B. The shape was there. But this time, it was different. The shape raised one hand, slowly, and held it there. The way you'd wave to someone across a courtyard, the way you'd wave to someone you recognized. I sat very still. And then I noticed something. The hand wasn't waving at me. The angle was wrong. It was raised slightly too high, aimed slightly too far back. As if the thing in that window was waving at something that was standing behind me. Every instinct I've ever trusted told me to turn around. I've never ignored instinct before, not once in my life. I did not turn around. I want to tell you, I looked. I sat at that window for 22 more minutes, and I stared at the dark glass across the courtyard, and I did not move once. I told myself, there's nothing there. You would have heard it. You would have felt it. I told myself a lot of things in those 22 minutes. And then the shape in the window lowered its hand, and it stepped back, into the dark, gone. And I still didn't turn around. And I need you to understand, I don't know if I didn't turn around because there was nothing there, or because some part of me already knew that there was. I went back through my documentation, all of it, from the beginning. The photographs. I pulled up the images where the shape had moved, the ones I'd been most certain about. I'd been looking at the shape in the window. I hadn't been looking at the reflection in the glass. I looked at the reflection now. In every photograph where the shape was present, every single one, there was something in the glass behind it. And not behind it in the apartment. Behind it, on my side. A secondary shape, faint, partially resolved, the kind of thing you'd call a camera artifact if you weren't looking for it. I had called it a camera artifact 3 weeks ago. I'd filed it under probably nothing. I looked at it now. It was not a camera artifact. It was a shape. Standing in my apartment. Behind me. In every photograph, from every night, I had sat at that window. 15 nights of something standing behind me while I watched a window across a courtyard. And then I thought about Mrs. Okafor. The way she looked past my face, slightly over my shoulder. She wasn't avoiding eye contact. She was looking at something, standing directly behind me. And she hadn't said anything. Because she already knew that saying something wouldn't help. Or because she was afraid of what it might do, if it knew she could see it. I got the note 3 weeks ago. I've been telling you it was left on my windowsill. 3 words, old ink. Please keep watching. I told you I read it as an invitation, a lonely presence wanting to be witnessed, a sad, poetic thing. I was reading it wrong. I've been reading it wrong this entire time. Please keep watching. Don't stop watching. Keep your eyes on that window. Don't look away. Don't look behind you. She wasn't asking me to watch her. She was telling me to watch the window. Because whatever is standing behind me stops when I'm looking at the window. And whatever it does when I'm not looking, she has seen it from across a courtyard. And she is trying to protect me the only way she can. From a dark room, that's with 3 words, written a long time ago. Waiting for whoever moved into apartment 7F and started sitting at their window at 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to tell you what my life looks like right now. I sit at my window every night at 11:08 p.m. I look at 4B. I do not look away. Some nights the shape is there, some nights it's not. And on the nights it's there, I hold very still, and I watch. And I do not turn around. I've stopped checking what's behind me. Not because I think there's nothing there. Because she told me not to look. And right now, in the absence of any better option, I'm choosing to trust the one person in this situation who has been trying to help me. Yazio, even if she's been dead for 3 years. Even if she can't tell me what happens when I stop. I want to tell you what I think is happening, with the same precision I'd apply to any archive. I think a woman lived in that apartment for 6 years. I think at some point during those 6 years, she became aware of something in her building. Or something became aware of her. Or I think she understood what it was, eventually. The way you understand something you can't prove to anyone else. The way you understand something. That has decided you're the only one who can see it. I think she disappeared 3 years ago. I think she stayed. Not because she chose to, or not only because she chose to. Because whatever is in my apartment, it needs a witness on this side. Oh. And she is the only other witness available. I think what she's been doing from that window, every night, is watching it, keeping it still. The same way you'd watch a dog you don't trust, the same way you'd keep your eyes on something that moves the moment you look away. She was doing it alone for 3 years. And then someone moved into 7F, and started sitting at their window at 11 o'clock at night. And she realized she didn't have to do it alone anymore. Here is what I've learned about how this works. The first thing I noticed was this. It stops when I watch the window. I don't know what it stops doing. I only know that the shape across the courtyard is still and present when it stops. And that when the shape is absent, when 4B is just dark glass, things in my apartment feel different. I won't describe how. The second thing I learned the hard way. It knows when I'm not looking. I've tested this. I've sat with my eyes closed. I've sat facing the wrong direction. The air in the apartment changes. I won't describe that either. The third thing, and this one took the longest to understand. It can't be in 2 places. The nights the shape across the courtyard isn't visible. The heavy rain nights, the fog nights, are the nights my apartment feels worst. She can't watch through solid weather. On those nights, I'm the only one watching. And the last thing, the one I'm still sitting with. I don't know how long someone has to watch before they stop being able to leave. I think that's what happened to her. I think about that a lot. I went to the building manager last week. I asked him about the apartment across from mine. He told me that people who rent 4B don't last long, that they always say the same thing when they leave. They felt watched. I asked him, watched from where? He said, from the building across the street, from the 7th floor. From a window that always seems to have someone sitting at it. He looked at me when he said that. The way you look at someone when you're deciding whether or not to say the rest. He decided not to. I didn't push him. I already knew what the rest was. The tenants in 4B weren't leaving because they felt watched by a ghost. They were leaving because sitting at that window at that hour, watching the 7th floor of the building across the street, they could see into my apartment. And they could see that I was never alone in it. I still sit at the window every night in 1108. The shape across the courtyard is there. Most nights, we watch the same direction, we watch the same thing. I don't know what happens when I stop. I don't know what happens when she can't anymore. I don't know how long it takes. I've started leaving my window light on when I go to work, so that from across the courtyard, it looks like someone is still sitting there. It probably doesn't work. I do it anyway. If you live in a city, if you have a window, if there's a building across from yours with a window that's always dark, don't start watching it. And if you've already started, don't stop.